If you've ever thought your dog couldn't possibly complicate your life beyond peeing on the carpet or chewing your sneakers, let me stop you right there. Because my dog, a scruffy, overly friendly mutt named Buddy, managed to get us both dragged into a police investigation, a courtroom, and, at one point, a press conference I was wildly unprepared for. And all because he really, really loves hot dogs. It all started on a Tuesday. Tuesdays are already cursed days, too far from Monday to blame your problems on the weekend, but not close enough to Friday for hope. I was walking Buddy through our neighborhood park, sipping terrible gas station coffee, when I noticed a commotion near the hot dog stand. A guy in a black hoodie was yelling at the vendor. Something about money, something about "don't call the cops." And me, being the conflict-averse coward I am, decided the best course of action was to speedwalk in the opposite direction. Unfortunately, Buddy disagreed. Buddy smelled hot dogs. And Buddy wanted hot dogs. So while I was trying to drag him away, he lunged, hard, and bolted straight toward the shouting match. "Buddy!" I hissed, jogging after him. We do not get involved in other people's crimes. But Buddy, traitor that he is, ignored me. By the time I caught up, Buddy had done what no trained negotiator or seasoned cop could have accomplished. He'd tackled the guy. Okay, maybe not tackled, more like Buddy leapt joyfully at the man, knocked his legs out from under him, and then sat proudly on his chest, tongue lolling, while the vendor called the police. I stood there, frozen, holding an empty leash like the world's dumbest bystander. People were filming. Filming. Somebody yelled, "That dog's a hero." Another shouted, "World's bravest pup." And me? I was just praying nobody asked for my last name. When the cops arrived, they cuffed the guy, apparently he'd been wanted for a string of robberies, and then turned to me. "You the owner?" the officer asked. I said, because words are hard when your dog just foiled a crime, technically. "Good work," the cop said. "We'll need a statement. And maybe the dog, too." I blinked. "The dog?" "Witness testimony," the cop said with a shrug, as though that explained everything. Fast forward 2 hours, and Buddy and I were at the precinct. Buddy was thrilled. He thought this was the best adventure of his life. Free belly rubs from cops? Treats from the vending machine? New friends everywhere? Paradise. Me, on the other hand? I was dying inside. They sat me down in a tiny interrogation room. Buddy sat beside me, panting happily, like a furry accomplice. "So," the detective said, flipping open a notepad, "walk me through what happened." I told him. Sort of. I may have left out the part where I was running away like a coward. "Interesting," the detective said, jotting notes. Then he looked at Buddy. "And the dog? What about the dog?" I asked. "He saw everything, right?" I laughed nervously. "Well, yeah, but he's a dog." The detective leaned forward. Dead serious. "Sometimes dogs pick up details people miss." I stared at him. Are you saying you want to question my dog?" He shrugged. "Stranger things have happened." That's how Buddy's official career as a canine witness began. At first, I thought it was a joke. Some paperwork, a pat on the head, and we'd go home. But then the detective invited us back the next day. And the day after that. They even brought in some kind of animal behavior consultant who sat across from Buddy with a recorder, asking things like, "Buddy, did the suspect drop anything?" And Buddy, being Buddy, just wagged his tail and tried to lick her face. I whispered, "This is insane." She whispered back, "Honestly? Half my job is insane. Just roll with it." But the real trouble began when the media caught wind. Someone had posted the park video online, and it blew up. "Hero dog foils robbery," screamed the headlines. "Canine crime fighter. Meet the dog who defends justice and loves hot dogs." And just like that, Buddy was famous. Our quiet life, me working my boring IT job, Buddy chewing socks, vanished overnight. The local news showed up at my apartment. Strangers stopped us on the street for selfies. A talk show host emailed me, asking if Buddy could perform tricks on air. Perform tricks. As though my dog hadn't already single-handedly stopped a criminal. But Buddy? He loved it. He wagged, he posed, he basked in the attention like he'd been waiting for this moment his whole life. Me? I just wanted my dignity back. Unfortunately, dignity was not in the cards. Because the district attorney's office called. They were pressing charges against the guy Buddy tackled. And they wanted Buddy, yes, my dog, to appear in court. "Just his presence will help the jury understand the events," the DA said, like this was the most logical request in the world. "You want me to bring my dog to testify?" I asked. "Exactly. And what, he's going to bark once for guilty, twice for not guilty?" The DA didn't laugh. So that's how I found myself ironing a button-up shirt on a Saturday morning, mumbling, "Don't screw this up, Buddy, while my dog sat on the couch wearing a little tie Emma, my sister, agent of chaos, had bought for him. This is ridiculous, I muttered. Emma, filming on her phone, grinned. This is content, you're going viral again. And that was only the beginning. Because the second Buddy stepped paw in that courtroom, tail wagging, ears perked, the entire place melted. Jurors cooed. Reporters snapped photos. Even the judge cracked a smile. And I realized, with a sinking feeling, that my dog wasn't just a witness. He was the star of the trial. If you've never seen a courtroom lose its collective composure over a dog in a tie, let me paint you a picture. The moment Buddy trotted in, wearing Emma's ridiculous blue polka dot necktie, the entire jury box went ah. Reporters nearly fell over each other snapping pictures. And the judge, a stone-faced man with the emotional range of granite, paused, lifted his glasses, and muttered, "Well, this is a first." Meanwhile, me? I was sweating through my freshly ironed shirt, clutching Buddy's leash like a lifeline, silently begging him not to pee on the witness stand. The prosecutor stood, all professional, and said, "Your Honor, we'd like to call our next witness." Buddy. There was laughter. Nervous at first, then full-blown chuckles from the gallery. I raised my hand. Technically, I'm the handler. Sit, the prosecutor told me. I sat. Like I was the dog. Buddy bounded up to the stand like he owned the place. The bailiff, bless his soul, actually swore him in. Hand on the Bible, paw raised. "Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" the bailiff asked. Buddy barked. The courtroom erupted. The prosecutor leaned on the railing. "Buddy, can you show the jury what you did on the day of the incident?" Buddy tilted his head. "Here we go," I muttered, bracing for disaster. But to my shock, Buddy jumped down, ran straight to the defendant, the robber guy in the hoodie, and sat on his feet. Gasps all around. The prosecutor spread his arms. "Ladies and gentlemen, there's your culprit." The jury ate it up. The defense attorney popped up, flustered. "Objection. This is absurd. The dog can't identify my client." But Buddy, as if on cue, growled. A low, rumbling growl he usually saved for squirrels who dared trespass our balcony. The courtroom went silent. Even the judge leaned forward. The defense attorney sputtered. "This proves nothing. Dogs can be trained to react." Buddy barked so loudly the stenographer dropped her notepad. The judge raised a hand. Sustained. But noted. From that moment, Buddy wasn't just a witness. He was a sensation. The jury adored him. The prosecution adored him. The internet? Don't even get me started. Someone in the gallery live-streamed the whole thing, and by lunchtime, the clip had millions of views. #JusticePup was trending. #GoodBoyLawyer wasn't far behind. And yes, there was already fan art. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. "Buddy, how does it feel to take the stand? Is Buddy considering a career in law enforcement? Does Buddy have a comment on the rising crime rate in the city?" I tried to answer, but every microphone was shoved in Buddy's face. And he loved it. He wagged, licked a cameraman, and rolled over for belly rubs mid-interview. I stood there, ignored, holding his leash like an unpaid intern. By the second day of trial, Buddy had his own seat. His own seat. Right beside the prosecutor, like some four-legged co-counsel. Whenever the defense tried to argue, Buddy would tilt his head, sigh dramatically, or, and I swear he did this on purpose, sneeze at their objections. The jury giggled every single time. The defense attorney looked like he was seconds away from a nervous breakdown. Emma, of course, was thriving. She'd set up a whole TikTok account for Buddy, at Paw and Order Official. Every night, she uploaded behind-the-scenes footage. Buddy being brushed. Buddy trying on ties. Buddy snoring with a paw over his face. By the end of the week, Buddy had 500,000 followers. Me? I had heartburn. But the chaos didn't peak until Friday. Because on Friday, the defendant's lawyer made a desperate move. "Your Honor," he said, sweating through his suit, "if the prosecution insists on parading this dog as a credible witness, then the defense has no choice but to cross-examine." The courtroom gasped. The judge rubbed his temples. "You want to cross-examine a dog?" "Yes, Your Honor." The judge sighed. "Proceed." And so began the most absurd 20 minutes of my life. The defense attorney crouched down, looked Buddy in the eye, and said, "Mr. Buddy, can you honestly claim you know my client was the man at the hot dog stand?" Buddy blinked. The attorney smiled triumphantly. "See? No response." Then Buddy yawned, turned around, and very deliberately lifted his leg on the defense table. The jury lost it. The gallery howled. Even the judge laughed so hard he had to bang his gavel 3 times before regaining order. "Motion to strike," the defense attorney shrieked. "Denied," the judge wheezed. The dog has spoken. By the end of the week, the case wasn't really about the robbery anymore. It was about Buddy. Every news outlet covered the dog trial. Merch popped up online, shirts with Buddy's face, mugs that said law and paw, bumper stickers that read my lawyer has a tail. Buddy was more than a witness now. He was a mascot. A symbol. A four-legged crusader for justice. And me? I was just the guy holding the leash. One night, as I sat on the couch watching a news segment titled Can Dogs Save the Justice System? Emma plopped down beside me, scrolling her phone. You know, she said, people are already calling for Buddy to run for office. I groaned. He's a dog, Emma. So? He's already more trustworthy than most politicians. Buddy, sprawled on the rug, thumped his tail like he agreed. But the fame came with a price. Because with popularity came critics. One particularly cranky news anchor ranted on live TV, "This is a travesty. We cannot allow our legal system to be swayed by wagging tails and floppy ears. Justice is not a petting zoo." Of course, Buddy fans immediately flooded his social media with #FloppyEarsForJustice. And then came the conspiracy theories. Some claimed Buddy was a planted government dog. Others insisted the whole trial was staged. One blog even accused me of training Buddy with coded barks to rig the case. Me? The guy who couldn't even train him not to eat my socks. The trial dragged on. Every day was more surreal. At one point, the judge actually asked, "Can we get the witness a bowl of water?" And the bailiff brought one. Stainless steel. Courtroom approved. At another, the stenographer broke character entirely and doodled Buddy in the margins of her notes. I know this because she showed me. And through it all, Buddy basked in the spotlight, tongue out, tail wagging, living his best life. The turning point came in week 3. The prosecution brought out security footage. Grainy, low-res, but clear enough, the robber in the hoodie, waving a knife at the hot dog vendor. The jury was already convinced. Buddy had them wrapped around his paw. But this? This sealed it. The defense attorney sagged in his chair like a deflated balloon. Verdict, guilty. The courtroom erupted. Reporters shouted. Flashbulbs popped. And in the middle of it all, Buddy barked once, sharp, triumphant, as if delivering the final judgment himself. Case closed, the judge declared. Buddy sneezed. The jury applauded. And just like that, the trial was over. Or so I thought. Because if you think the world was ready to let a dog lawyer fade quietly into obscurity, oh no. This was just the beginning. Buddy's fame was about to go global. If you thought life would go back to normal after the trial, let me stop you right there. Because when your dog becomes the world's first unofficial canine lawyer, normal packs up its bags, flips you the bird, and books a one-way ticket to never coming back. Fame unleashed. It started small. A late-night talk show invited Buddy and me for an exclusive interview. Correction, they invited Buddy. I was merely the guy who feeds him. The host introduced us. Ladies and gentlemen, the canine crusader for justice, the hero of the courtroom, Buddy. The audience roared. Spotlights hit the stage. A full marching band played "Who Let the Dogs Out," while Buddy trotted out wearing sunglasses. Sunglasses. I followed behind, tripping over a cable. Nobody clapped for me. The host knelt down. "Buddy, how does it feel to bring justice to your city?" Buddy barked twice. The host gasped. "Amazing. 2 barks, that's the sound of integrity." The audience gave a standing ovation. I tried to speak into the microphone. Technically, I was the one who. Cut to commercial, the host yelled. By the next morning, Buddy was on every news channel. Dog delivers justice. Paw and order, special kibble unit. Is Buddy the leader America needs? One tabloid ran a headline, "Move over, Batman. Buddy is the real Dark Knight." Emma thought it was hilarious. She started selling t-shirts online. One said, "My lawyer wags his tail." Another, "Bark twice for justice." Sales exploded. She made more in a week than I did in 6 months of my soul-crushing desk job. Hollywood calls. And then Hollywood came knocking. I got a call from a guy who introduced himself as Rick, Buddy's agent. "Buddy doesn't have an agent," I said. He laughed. "He does now. We've signed him for 3 commercials, a Netflix documentary, and, wait for it, a courtroom drama where he plays himself." I nearly dropped my phone. "He can't act. He's a dog." Rick snorted. "Kid, he's already got more charisma than half this town. We'll work around it." 2 weeks later, Buddy was on set. They put him in a tiny judge's robe. The director cried tears of joy. The crew bowed when he walked past. And me? I sat in the corner with a clipboard, making sure nobody fed him chocolate. The tour. The chaos didn't stop there. Buddy went on a world tour. London, he sniffed Big Ben. Paris, he lifted his leg on the Eiffel Tower. Rome, he stole a slice of pizza from a street vendor and made the front page of La Repubblica. Everywhere we went, crowds gathered. People screamed his name. Signs waved in the air, "In dogs we trust." One woman fainted just from petting him. Another asked him to officiate her wedding. And through it all, I was invisible. His leash holder. His chauffeur. His underpaid bodyguard. Trouble in paradise. Of course, fame isn't all belly rubs and free biscuits. Buddy's fanbase split into factions. One group wanted him to run for president. Buddy 2028, a leader who fetches. Another demanded he become Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, conspiracy nuts claimed Buddy was an alien in disguise, sent to take over the planet with cuteness. And then came the scandals. A gossip magazine ran a piece, Buddy the dog bites off more than he can chew. With blurry photos of him growling at a paparazzo. One network accused me of exploiting Buddy for fame. I wasn't exploiting him. If anything, Buddy was exploiting me. He ate steak dinners while I lived off instant noodles. The breaking point. It all came crashing down one evening in Tokyo. We were at a press conference, cameras flashing, translators whispering, fans chanting "Buddy-dy. Buddy-dy." The mayor presented Buddy with a golden bone, an actual golden bone, as a symbol of honor. Buddy accepted it graciously. Then he dropped it, yawned, and pooped on the stage. Live. On international television. Silence. Then chaos. Half the crowd gasped in horror. The other half cheered like they'd witnessed the second coming. The mayor fainted. The golden bone rolled into the audience. Two businessmen fought over it like it was the Holy Grail. And me? I just stood there, staring at my dog, who wagged his tail proudly as if to say, "My work here is done." *The fallout. The internet exploded. Some said it was a metaphor for politics. Others declared it the end of Buddy's career. But his true fans? They doubled down. Hashtags trended. /#poopgate. /#defecate for justice. /#Buddy stands for truth. Emma sold merch that said "even heroes poop." It outsold the original shirts. Hollywood didn't care either. If anything, the scandal boosted ratings. Buddy got cast in a dog food commercial the next week. Meanwhile, I hit rock bottom. I was tired. Exhausted. My entire life revolved around a golden retriever with better hair than me. I wanted out. The choice. One night, after a long day of photo shoots, I sat Buddy down. "Listen, pal," I whispered. "We need to talk. This fame thing? It's too much. I miss when you were just my dog. When our biggest problem was you chewing on my sneakers." Buddy tilted his head. "I can't do this anymore," I said. "I can't be your sidekick. I just want to be normal." Buddy sighed, rested his head on my knee, and licked my hand. And in that moment, I realized something. Buddy didn't care about fame. Or money. Or golden bones. He just wanted me. The world could adore him, worship him, make him into a meme, but to him, I was still his human. The final act. So I made a decision. At the next press conference, when reporters shoved microphones in our faces, I stepped up and said, "Buddy is retiring. Effective immediately." The crowd gasped. "Retiring? You can't retire justice. What about the Netflix sequel?" I shook my head. "He's a dog. He deserves a normal life. Walks in the park. Naps on the couch. Chasing squirrels. That's what he wants." Buddy barked once, wagging his tail. And just like that, the circus ended. Epilogue. We went home. Back to our tiny apartment. Back to late night TV and cheap pizza. Buddy snoozed on the rug, snoring so loud the neighbors complained. Sometimes, when I scroll through the internet, I still see his face. Memes, videos, even conspiracy threads claiming he's biding his time. But here, in our little corner of the world, he's just Buddy again. My dog. My best friend. And if he ever decides to put the tie back on? Well, I'll be there, leash in hand, ready for round 2.